too much. Hey, everybody, look at that. Chief CBS political analyst John Dickerson. Let's talk about Donald Trump and the debate for just a second here. By itself, if you only looked at Donald Trump, what he said in that debate, though his behavior might have been muted because of the parameters, the rules of the debate, how would you judge his performance in the debate?
Well, he told lies both big and small, right? And Biden, he told lies, more of them, but when Biden said, no service person has been killed during my presidency, that was just flat wrong. So Trump told those kinds, misrepresented facts like that, but then he told lies that have his particular way of looking at the world, which is entire fantasies. Imagine if Joe Biden said repeatedly, inflation did not increase under my presidency. And everybody said, no, Mr. President, it did increase. An economist came forward and he said, no, it has not increased. And he continued to say that again.
He said, no, those numbers are all cooked.
They're all cooked. A verifiable fact proved with mountains of evidence, and yet he still retained that fact. In this environment, with the way Democrats are behaving, how would they treat him? He wouldn't be the candidate anymore. Donald Trump continues to say that he lost the election, continues to say that the election was stolen, that he won the election, something that is verifiably untrue, that is a lie for him to say that. And yet he's about to be the nominee with the most unity of a Republican convention, than maybe ever. By which I mean, think of the people who are supporting him. Nikki Haley, who's not even inviting, gave her delegates to Trump. Mitch McConnell, who said in 2 different occasions that Donald Trump was essentially ambivalent about racism, who Trump used a racial slur about his wife. McConnell blamed Trump for inciting the attack on the Capitol, said he was morally and practically responsible for the attack, which was the result of lies that the rioters had been fed by him, and he's endorsing him. So that level of unity in the party, I've gone on a bit of a tangent here, but Please. It is a distinction between the 2 parties and what's going on, and it goes back to your question about the debate, which is the habits of mind that Donald Trump has when he talks about an election that was stolen that wasn't stolen. It requires not just saying that lie, but an entire fiction that is built around that. When he says he never said lock her up about Hillary Clinton, that's not just a lie, because he did, but then he embroiders that with a whole series of other events that didn't happen. Why does this matter to the presidency? The presidency presents you with inconvenient fact after inconvenient fact, and you have to deal with them. If you become habituated, and your party also becomes habituated in going around facts, in creating new realities, then how do you operate in a presidency when you can't create new realities? Things like COVID-19 happen, and you can't pretend that it didn't happen or say numbers are different than they are, because at the end of the day, the numbers are about people's lives. That's the habit of mind that was on display in the debate, and it wasn't just a one-night thing. That's the habit of mind that he promises to bring to the presidency.
You've talked shortly after Donald Trump walked out there and said, in 2020, and said, this is all stolen, it was all a cheat, we're going to fight, there's no way, I'm not president, I'm going to be president. You talked about burning the Democratic furniture, like the Republicans not slapping that back as a form of burning the Democratic furniture, small d, Democrat. So we're all coming on 4 years into the bonfire of the furniture. What are we burning at this point? Is there anything left to burn?
Well, we'll see what happens in the election. Donald Trump continues to lie about the last election, and his party believes him. That creates the conditions, and it is now, in order to be his vice president, a lot of the Republicans are not willing to say the easiest thing in the world to say about the next election's outcome when they're asked, will you abide by the results? The easy thing to say is, of course I'll abide by the results. And, if there are problems, we have systems in place to discover those problems. And I would want investigations as thorough as possible if there's any fraud. But I also recognize that to create an atmosphere where there is fraud, where there is no fraud, undermines the very election that we're having. That's the responsible thing to say. Nobody's saying that. They're being, not nobody, but those who want to be Trump's vice president are kind of shilly-shallying around whether they will accept the results of the election. That embeds a danger in the actual election itself. So when you have pre-embedded danger, where you have kind of these whispers and hints that there might be something hinky with the next election, that creates the conditions, again, even though we've lived through it, for violence, for questioning, for acrimony. It feels like we are repeating a movie, and also the penalty for having lied about the last election and the violence that happened as a result of it. And remember, there was a time when every Republican leader said this violence is the result of Donald Trump. And they've all now endorsed him, except for Mike Pence, who is not doing that. The fact that that can just be easily swept under the rug, that does not suggest that anybody sort of feels like we should step away from this kind of behavior. They're suggesting there should be 4 more years of it.
I would find what you just said depressing if you hadn't used the term shilly-shally. And I thank you for that. John Dickerson, thank you so much. The Daily Report with John Dickerson streams Monday through Thursday on the CBS News app. We'll be right back with a performance by Jessica Pratt.